Welcome to the Florida vlog, you guys. This is my first time in Destin area. We went to Miami not too long ago and we really enjoyed it, so I'm really glad to be here. We are here with like Brady's side of the family and we're gonna be here for about a week. The kids were up this morning at 7 a.m. like out by the beach, so I feel like it's gonna be a very full week of just like being by the beach and by the pool and stuff. I'm gonna show you guys the books that I brought that I'm going to try to read. This is the first book that I want to read and I'm loving it so far. I'm not super far into it. I'm only about 39 pages, but I read all those 39 pages last night. This book has reminded me so much of Brittany Cherry's writing. It's just very like, I don't know, very small town, very like cozy. The romance feels like a Lifetime movie. It's very, very cute. So I feel like I'll finish this really fast because it's less than 300 pages. I also brought my Kindle if I want to add more books that I didn't bring. I do have a few books in a stack that I'm going to show you guys probably a little bit later because we're getting ready to go out by, I think, like the pool beach area to hang out there. The rest of the family's already out there. Brady's just like waiting for me. Back there, you guys can see that we have a bunk bed. We are bunked up in here. Brady and I have been sleeping down here and like no one's sleeping up there, but we are in cozy quarters for this trip. But I feel like I'll get a lot of time to read because like the kids like go to bed a little bit earlier and like most people wake up pretty early here and I like I'm an early riser, so I feel like it'll be really nice to just lay by the beach and read. Day 2 of the family vacation. I want to show you guys the books that I ended up bringing with me. I don't know what I'm going to end up finishing on this trip. I brought a pretty good amount, but I have like had a little bit of time to read. Then I also feel like I'm just hanging with the family, so like I'm obviously not reading while we're hanging out. I'm reading the Love Syllabus. I have about I think 150 pages left in this. And I'm gonna hopefully finish that today because I usually can read about 60 pages an hour. I will say my reading like in each hour is not what I typically read. Like I feel like I usually read more per hour than what I'm actually reading here. Like the other day it was like an hour and I was like, how have I only read 20 pages? But I think again it's just like I'm just enjoying my time here and like chatting with everyone and yapping and stuff. So yeah, excited to finish this. I will say that this book is cute, but it is a bit like Lifetimey, so if you're gonna get into Lauren Lacey's writing, you definitely have to know that's what you're gonna get into. Something cozy. It's gonna be very Lifetimey, very like dramatic, but it is enjoyable so far. If you also like the nanny trope type of vibe, like she's a homeschool teacher for this guy and she's like living with him, if you like that vibe in a book, you will like that. And then I also have some other books. This is the next book I think I'm going to read, Till Summer Do Us Part. This is a book that I've heard so many great things about. I also really like Megan Quinn's writing whenever I want something that's like super spicy, really funny. I'm going to like laugh out loud. I'm trying to think of like the book that I read of hers that I really loved. I cannot think of it. It's about a girl who's like getting a divorce from her husband and he has to like try to win her back. I cannot remember exactly what it's about, but yeah, I'm excited to read this. And then I also am wanting to read Plus Size Players. I've heard again nothing but great things about this one. And this one is about a girl who just like doesn't really want to settle down. She has like a different guy for everything in her life and she's never really wanted to just have like one guy, like all her eggs in one basket, and then she meets this guy who like kind of makes her want to do that. And then the other book that I want to read is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I thought about reading this on the plane. Like I literally opened the book and then read like the beginning what's it called? Not the acknowledgments, but it's like, she has like a beginning part, the author's note, and I read that. After I read that, I don't know what it is, but I was like, yeah, this is not the book for vacation. This is a book for maybe like to read at home or something, just because a little bit like, I don't know, it's about space. Like it's not like a beach read. So I am excited to read this, and again, I feel like everyone has said that this book is amazing. I think the Goodreads rating for this is like 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is really, really high for a Goodreads rating, especially for a new book. But I'm excited to read this. I just don't know if I'll get to this on vacation, but hopefully I'll finish the other two, or at least get pretty far into them. We're getting ready to go to the beach now, or maybe like the pool first and then the beach. We've just been kind of popping back and forth between the two, so hopefully I'll read a little bit more and give you guys an update as the day goes on. We have one more full day tomorrow, so we're making our way out to the beach right now. And I think that this is one of my favorite beaches that I've probably ever been on, and now I see why everyone comes to Florida. I have my huge bag right here. I love this bag. It's like the one that everyone talks about on TikTok. You can see my name on it. It's from LLB. I'm gonna show you guys the books that I'm reading whenever we get over there. I think I'm gonna start a new one today before I finish the other one, just because I'm in the mood for something like a little bit more like rom-com-y. I feel like the book I'm reading right now is really cute, but it's like more, it's more like Hallmark, you know what I mean? And I just am looking for like a different vibe for the last few days. This is the book that I've been reading, and I'm pretty far into it. I'm like at 173, so I have less than 100 pages left of this one. But I don't know, this one is just like very Hallmark Lifetime type vibe, so I'm thinking of something that's like more funny. So I want to start this one, but then part of me is like, okay, maybe we should just finish this one and then read this one, because I don't know, I don't know if I'll get back into the mood for like a Hallmarky type book. But this one is like 358 pages, so I feel like I could finish this one depending on like the pacing of it between today and tomorrow. I don't know, we're also gonna have like a 2-hour flight, so if I could finish it on the flight too. The guys are out there, they're trying to like skimboard. They were doing like other stuff yesterday on the waves. I forget what it's called, like wave? I forget what it's called, but right now they're trying to skimboard. I'm just gonna sit here and read. I think I'll maybe try to finish this one, or at least see how far I get, and then start this one like midway through the day, because maybe I will finish this one early this morning. I ended up finishing this book, and I'm getting ready to really get into plus size players. I'm literally like 1 page in. This book was really cute. I think I'm gonna rate it 3.5. I kept going back and forth between whether I wanted to rate it 4 stars, 3 stars, and 3.5. It is very much like a soap opera. So you can only get into this book and enjoy it if you know it's gonna be something that's kind of like unbelievable, very much Brittany Cherry vibes, like very dramatic, like, you know the vibes. And I knew it was gonna kind of be like that because I've read her books, but this was, I think because it was so short, it was like very condensed. So like all of the drama was like in a short period of time. Yeah, I really thought it was very, very good. And if you're wanting something that like kind of gives Hallmark, kind of gives Lifetime, kind of gives super dramatic soap opera vibes, this is the one. You can see that I also kind of got it a little bit wet. It's not like super wet, but yesterday whenever I was in like a little floaty out on the water, I like almost dropped it, so it's a little bit wet. Also, I've like had this sitting on my legs while I'm like reading, just like this, and it is like getting moist from sitting on my legs. So yeah, I'm going to get into this one now. I'm literally like 1 page in. I'm only like, oh, six pages? No, I'm not even there yet. I literally just started, and I was like, I'm gonna just chat with you guys first. There was one part in this book that I really loved. I'm gonna see if I can find it. hopefully you guys can hear me. I wanted to like flip the camera around so you can hear me better. There's a part where she's opening up to the main guy character in this, and she's like, oh, I can handle Corey, like her ex-boyfriend. She's like, I can handle it on my own. And he goes, you shouldn't have to. And I feel like that is the perfect representation of what this book is like. She has like gone through so much, and the guy in this, he like doesn't want her to have to go through things alone. So yeah, keep that in mind if you pick up a book like, or if you pick up this book. It's very much like he'll protect her at all costs, but it also is very spicy towards the end, but it has a lot of tension and build up at the beginning, which is my favorite. I'm gonna get into this one now, and then I'll probably read Megan Quinn's book next if I get to it in this vlog. I really want to. This one took me a little bit longer than I planned, and I think it's just because obviously I'm like hanging with family and having fun, but I also think that I was like not necessarily in the mood for this specific type of book. I'm very much in a rom-com mood, so I feel like I'll really love this. Being at the beach quite literally never gets old. We've actually talked about maybe getting like a beach house or something, because every time we come here, the waves are just so calming and so nice to be out here. Hopefully you guys can't even hear me because it is so like loud, but I'm really enjoying this so far. I definitely want to read it the rest of the night, so I'll give you guys an update a little bit later. What do you think that I'm gonna rate plus size players? When I'm not even super far into it. I'm only like 36 pages in. I want you to guess, like do a blind guess.
No, I can always get it right when you tell me.
Okay, so it's about this girl. She's dating like 4 or 5 different guys. And she's like, I have one guy who's a smart guy, one guy's the funny guy. There's a guy who's the fun guy. He just always takes her on these fun dates. And his name's Russ. And he's like the main character of like the story. And she's starting to feel like he's maybe better than the other guys that she's dating.
Probably pretty hard right now, but you're probably taking it.
Really? That's surprising. I was just thinking what you think I will rate it by the end.
I thought you meant right now.
No, by the end. By the very end, on the last page, what do you think I'll rate it? Think 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't tell me! Don't tell me! Wait, what did it say? Was it a spoiler?
No, it just said CEO. This is the CEO.
Oh, if you guys saw my video on Instagram and TikTok, I had him guess the titles of these books, and I covered up the front, like the name of it, and he said this one was called CEO of Love.
Y'all be reading these books about dating 4 or 5 guys. Stop.
No, leave us in our spot alone.
Can't help.
Leave us in our spice alone. You gonna say hi to them?
No, can't help.
Right.
I'm here for you.
last day and I'm packing up my bag right now because we're gonna go to the beach for one last time. I didn't read like anything yesterday, like literally. I don't even think I picked up my book. Like I brought it outside to read and then I think I ended up doing literally anything else. I haven't gotten any farther in this than yesterday. I was at page 36 and I'm still at that exact same spot, but I'm gonna try to read a little bit more today. And then obviously we have our flight, so I feel like I'll definitely read more on the flight. I think this is the next book that I'm gonna pick up, but I have been hearing so many great things about Atmosphere. But literally when I was in the plane, I read like the first like author's note of this, and I just don't know if this is gonna be like interesting to me. Like I don't have any interest in learning about like space, and I feel like the other books she's written, they just have more like things that are interesting to me. So I don't know, it'll be interesting if I can actually get into this, because I feel like the hardest part of reading any book is starting a book, and starting a book where it's like they're talking about space and all that just doesn't really do it for me. But yeah, this is definitely the next one I'm gonna read. I will say I'm definitely getting a little bit out of my like spicy romancy mood, and I am wanting to read something a little bit more, I don't know, like heavier, harder hitting. So I feel like this will probably be one of the last videos where I'm only reading romance for the most part, because I am kind of like itching for something a little bit different. I can easily see that in this fall, like, and I feel like I said this before, but I feel like in this, like when fall comes around, I'm definitely gonna want to read different types of books. I think I will have had my fill of romance, but I'm just gonna pack this one, leave that one for the flight. I think I'm gonna get pretty far into this one and either finish it or start that one in tandem. Not really sure which one I'm gonna do, but reading on the beach and reading a rom-com just fits perfectly.
Me and Daddy built this super cool,
I can definitely see myself finishing this book on the flight. I think because I'll have a lot more time to read, it'll be really nice to travel like back. It's like a non-stop 2-hour flight. We're gonna go, been like sitting out here for not too long, but like a good amount of time, and we're gonna go get some food and then head to the airport in probably the next like hour or so. And on the flight, like I said, it's like 2 hours of just straight reading, and I feel like I'm already into this book. It usually takes me a long time to get into a story, like usually 50 pages or so, but if I'm interested in the plot before 50 pages, it's usually like a book that I'm gonna rate like very highly. So I can see myself rating this book pretty high. I'm back home and I'm getting ready to go work out, and I'm gonna come back and give you guys a little haul. But man, that was my first trip that I went on with kids, and you guys know that I have like changed my thoughts on what I want out of life and how I definitely want to be a mother and have kids of my own now, which when I was younger was definitely something that I always wanted. And then I think I got to the point where I was like, I'm so broke, especially after college, like when I feel like a lot of people are having kids. I was like, I'm so broke. I barely know who I am. I don't even know what I want to do out of life. I feel like I barely lived life. And like everyone's asking, like, when do you have kids? And so I feel like at that time I was just like, I don't think I want them. Like I just genuinely don't. And again, like more power to anyone who does not want kids. Like stand on your business, like if that's how you feel. And I think for me it came from a place of fear of always being broke, and of like not being able to find myself if that was a decision that I made. So, here's your creatine, by the way. So I went for years not wanting kids, telling people I didn't want kids, and then I think now I can confidently say I do, but I think a large part of that came from breaking down a lot of those fears. This is very chewy. I also think being financially stable and knowing myself and being confident in who I am has helped a ton, because I don't feel like I'm figuring out those things, you know? But this was the first like trip I've been on since like knowing that I want my own kids one day, and I'd say probably about a year ago, or like a little over a year ago, was when I like, no, not a year ago, like probably a year and a half ago is when I was like, okay, I like for sure want to have kids. This is what you guys do what you do every day. Oh my God. Like, those kids were up at like 6 in the morning every day, ready to go to the pool, ready to go to the beach. I was like, can we start with hello? Can we start with hi, how are you? Like, I was just like, whoo. And the ages are 6, 3, and 1.5. So they have a 4th on the way. This is Brady's sister and her husband. I mean, we played with them all day, like all day in the sand. We played with them at the pool. I feel like I was very tired. And I remember asking Brady's sister, I was like, what do you think is like the most relaxing trip that you've like been on? And she was like, probably like a trip that doesn't include kids. And I was like, oh, so like you don't have any relaxing trips with kids? And she was like, no, like fun trips definitely, but she's like, I don't know if I'd say they're like necessarily relaxing. And I told her, it was like, parents are their worst PR, because like every parent that I talk to, I'm not kidding, every single parent that I talk to, it's like, having kids is like the best but the hardest thing I've ever done. And I feel like so many people talk to me about marriage that same exact way. Like before I was gonna get married, I was actually a little nervous, and not nervous because of the partner I was marrying, but nervous because everyone who was married was like, marriage is so much work, but like it's worth it. It's so hard. It's the hardest thing you've ever done. But like when you like get to the top, it's like you're running a marathon. Like it just did not sound like something I wanted to do. And I had parents that were married for a very long time, but when I looked at their marriage, obviously I love them as a couple, I love them as a married couple, but there were things that I saw that I was like, okay, I think I would definitely want to do differently, and things that I would also want to do the same. But there was definitely like that negative connotation to marriage, and now I can say 7 years in, marriage is the easiest thing I've ever done. I'm not kidding, it's the easiest thing. It does not feel like work. It feels like the least like hard thing that I have in my life, and it's actually the most grounding thing. And I think that is because obviously I have a partner that I think is a great fit for me, and we dated for 6 years before we got married, so we really got to know each other, and we really got to like work through anything that was like would have been difficult to work through then versus later on. And I don't know, I keep telling myself maybe it's the same way with kids. Like people are saying all these things about like how hard it is, and it's like the hardest thing you've ever done, da, da, da. And it's like, is it though? Like, is it really? Because I don't feel like marriage is hard. I do feel like anything that you do and you want to do well, you have to put effort into. Like, you know, when I work out, like I have to put effort into it. Like in my marriage, I have to put effort, but that effort does not feel hard. When I think of hard, I think of like my dad passing away, or I think of the mental struggles that my brother's been through, and like my family and us working through that. I don't think of my marriage as hard at all. Genuinely, it's one of the easiest things I've ever done. But I also feel like, and maybe this is my naive of me to say because I don't have like kids, but I also feel like when we have kids, it'll look different than the average person. Like, again, we are very, very, like we're in a very great place financially, but I think it's because we've been together for 13 years, married for 7 of those years, and we've just built and built and built like income, and we want to have like generational wealth. Like we have our house on the lake, and we have 55 rental units, and like we both have careers where we are our own bosses, and it's like an unlimited income. Like there's like no cap, which I feel like is incredible. And I also feel like because we have so much flexibility, like we can travel, like when we have kids, we can like go different places and do different things, and like not saying that that won't look different, but I just don't feel like it's gonna be the hardest thing I've ever done. And maybe again, that's not naive of me to say, but I just remember people saying that about marriage and being like, it's so, and people still say that now. Like I will tell people like marriage is the easiest thing I've ever done. They're like, oh, it's only because you don't have kids. But then like whenever we were dating and I was like, oh, being with Brady is the easiest thing I've ever done, they're like, oh, it's only because you're not married yet. So I don't know. I wish that there were more people who had kids that like were just like, I love being a parent, period. Not like I love being a parent, but, you know, it's like always a but, because I feel like you hear the same thing about marriage. I love being married to my husband, but, and then it's like you hear them complain for the next 10 hours about all the things that are like terrible about their relationship or their marriage. So I don't know. I also feel like Brady and I have a connection that's like different than, not everyone, but different than a lot of people. So I don't know. I just, maybe I'm being naive, but comment below if you're someone who's like that, who maybe you have a marriage that you just feel like is perfect. Not perfect, but you know what I mean. It's like you wouldn't change it for the world. And if you're a parent, if you enjoy being a parent and truly enjoy it, and you're not like, you don't feel like it has changed your life in the worst way. And I mean, if it has, you can like share that too, but like I get that enough. Like I hear that enough. Like I need some good PR from parents. Like y'all are literally your worst like PR. Like really, like no one talks worse about parents than parents. The same with married couples. I feel like no one talks worse about being married than married people, but I'm here to tell you like it is incredible. So anyway, I'm gonna go work out now that I'm back, and I'm gonna come back and give you guys a haul. I also have like a little appointment later because my periods have been 2 weeks on, like heavy, like clotting, like just bad. And it's been like that for years, but like it's gotten way worse. So I know some of you guys in some of my last videos were saying like, oh, I should check in about these specific things. So I'm gonna try to do that. But I have an appointment later, and I did go like get hormone testing last week. So I'm gonna take that to them and hopefully get like things figured out. But let's go work out. We thought we were gonna come back to a ton of stuff being finished in the book room, but we did not. I did wanna show you guys the carpet that I ended up picking out. And this is actually not the carpet that we're gonna use. I'm gonna put in a little picture so you guys can see what we're actually gonna use. So the one that looks a little bit darker and it's like a bigger size is the one that we are gonna use. And I wanted to use this one, which is a little bit smaller and it has like more brown tones. We ordered this weeks ago, and then they went to go pick up the carpet today. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna put it in, like, you know, we're good to go. And the person we bought it from, they had sold the carpet that we paid for. And they're like, oh yeah, we can't get in new carpet for probably like 3 to 4 weeks. So that's like the reality of like anytime you renovate anything, the timelines are always so wild. Like it just never gets done how you want it to, and it also never gets done in the timeline. So Brady was like, well, we could wait and get like the carpet that you really want. I was like, no, because they're gonna say it's 3 to 4 weeks and it'll actually end up being like 6 to 8 weeks. So we're just gonna put in the other carpet. There isn't that much of a difference. I think once the carpet's in, like I'm not gonna even be able to like notice, but I think just the whole like, you picking out a carpet, you pay for it, you're excited about it, and then they're like, oh, sorry, like we sold it, like it just, I don't know. And they're like, well, we'll give you a better quality carpet. I'm like, whatever. So that's what we're gonna use is the other carpet. Obviously you guys saw the bookshelves, they're already in. I love that there's 4 bookshelves. There is a lot of space in here for a chair, so I'm thinking of getting either the Joy Bird daybed or the 6-penny daybed. The 6-penny daybed is pretty expensive, but I really like the sizing. It's like very circular, and these corners are kind of like odd. Like this is like more of a circular corner, over there is a circular corner. So I feel like it would be really hard to like find a couch that looks good with like the shape that I'll need for the corner. So I'm thinking about getting that, but they're pricey. Like this, the 6-penny daybed, I'm pretty sure is like $2,400, which is steep for a chair. It's not even like a real couch or even a real daybed. But I definitely want to get something. So that's what I'm thinking about, but I need to buy it soon because most of the couches ship between like, I don't know, 3 to 5 weeks, and I feel like we're pretty close to like being at the end here. We do want them to start on like our deck. We would love to have our deck finished by the end of the fall, but the basement was supposed to be a month-long project, and it's been almost 6 months. So if they start the deck, I want them to finish it before winter. So like Brady was like, oh, we can have them start the deck while we like wait for the carpet. I'm like, no, finish the basement, finish the carpet, finish everything, and then start on the deck, and hopefully they will finish that by winter. But I did want to give you guys a quick update on these books. I started Atmosphere today. I'm not super far into it. I'm only like 24 pages. I didn't really share like when I was reading because I went to the pool today with some friends from the gym. After the gym, we had planned to go to the pool. So it was really nice to just like relax there. And then I also had my appointment, so I got to read some while I was like waiting in the waiting area. I was there for about an hour. And I like showed the doctor all the pictures of like all the stuff that happens on my period. And she was like, oh, like maybe it's fibroids, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Because I was telling her how I usually have like 2 weeks on my period, 1 week off, and then I'm like back on. It's unbearable. So she was kind of giving me like things that we could do. And she was like, well, normally we would like tell people just to get on birth control, but I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I was on birth control for a very like short stint in college, and I feel like my hormones were absolutely just wrecked. Like I was like, I will not do that again. And like, of course we want kids and stuff in the future. So it's like, I don't want to like mess up my body. Like I don't feel like taking birth control is like fixing the problem. It's like a band-aid to an issue. So she, you know, obviously understood, but yeah, so anyway, read this. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it as I get more into this, just because it doesn't really feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid's typical writing, and maybe because there's a lot of like information about like space and all that stuff, like NASA things at the beginning, and maybe it'll get more into like the characters and stuff as the book goes on. Granted, I'm only 24 pages in, so I still have a ways to go, but I feel like even in Carrie Soto is Back, which is a book that is like heavily about tennis. It talked a lot about tennis, but like her life was weaved so much into the tennis story that even though I didn't really care as much about tennis, I cared about her, and like I got enough of that story, and then it made me care about tennis. And I feel like this is like trying to make me care about like space first before I even know the characters or care about the characters. So I don't know, we'll see. So many people have rated this very, very highly. So I have very high expectations, but I did read the favorites, and so many people rated that highly, and it literally was like such an incredible read. And it like met my expectations, so hopefully this book does too. This book is everything. I'm eating it up. I will say the beginning, like the very beginning, you hop right into like the main guy character and the main female character. Like you don't really get any build up because he is one of the guys that she's like dating. So I'm interested to see how they continue to build the tension between them, because you start right into their connection and then like right into them like hooking up and stuff, and you can definitely see the banter though, which I love the most about Danielle Allen's books. They're just so funny. They give like a rom-com vibe, and they're really easy to read. Like I feel like this is one book when I sit down, I will like look up and be like, oh shoot, I've already read like 30 pages, which is so rare for me, especially with like rom-com books, because sometimes they feel a bit predictable, which this one doesn't at all. But it was nice to go to the pool with a friend, with my friends. I ended up talking to them. It was like my friends from the gym. I ended up talking to them about like the trip that we went on, and I just was like, I don't know. I needed to hear from other moms, like their experience traveling with kids, like their experience in motherhood. Like I don't have a lot of friends that I know in my life right now who like absolutely love being a mother. Like my cousin Chaz, who you guys will probably see in another vlog pretty soon, loves being a mom, and she is a perfect example of like what I view motherhood, or how I view motherhood and how I view it will be for me, but like you don't know, right? But she loves being a mom. Obviously she talks about the hardships of motherhood like with anything, but like just an overarching view of motherhood, she really loves it. You can tell she absolutely loves it. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like when you're someone who is wanting to have kids and shifting from the mindset of like, I don't want kids anymore to I do want kids, but you still have all that like negativity and like negative talk about parenthood in your ear, it is like kind of a hard barrier to like step over and be like, okay, there are like positives. And it's not just positives that I'm like making up in my head. And I feel like, again, I talked about this with like marriage. I feel like that was something that was a barrier I had to work through too, because so many people talk negatively about marriage, and everyone's experience with everything is different. But I do think that the way people talk about certain experiences can lead you to think that that is the only way the experience is gonna be that's the only way you're gonna experience it, you know? So I talked to my friends, and one of my friends, she has, I think her youngest is like 10, I think, and her oldest is like 16, and I think she has like a 14-year-old or something, and like they came to the pool with us, and it was like so fun. And then I went, another girl, she had her 9-year-old there, and she's like just turning 40 this year, but she's a 9-year-old, I think like a 16-year-old, and then somewhere in the middle too, like in that 12 or 13 range or something. Some of her kids came, and then another friend from the gym, she has 2 really little ones, and then she came, and I think her youngest ones are like 4 or 3 and like 2 or something like that. But they're really young. And when I was telling them about like the experience on the beach and stuff, they were like, oh, well, that's just like a really hard age. Like that's just like, beach trips are gonna be more chaotic, or just trips in general are gonna be more chaotic with kids if it's like a very young age. But like as you get older, you get like more, they like can do stuff on their own. They can like, you know, tie their shoes and like they don't have to be fed. And so I don't know, I think with that being my very first trip with anybody's kids, it was just so jarring because I go on trips all the time by myself or with Brady with friends. And so I was like, is this like how it is all the time for the rest of existence for every parent? And of course it's not, but I think like just seeing that, it was just like so jarring. So I think talking to them and like hearing their insights, and also hearing them talk about how like every parent parents differently, which can lead to like a better or worse experience, it just was like very affirming. So I think that that's why it's so important to really have like just really good friends in your life. I love my friends. I have so many friends that I've made through different friend groups, and I've talked about this on the podcast. If you guys don't listen to the podcast, I've talked about like friendship and how to build friendship, how to keep good friends and things like that. And I always link the podcast below. It's called Love You Most Pod. But there's like this study that was done that's like people who live longer, they usually have friends, or like just like deep friendships, because they're so important. And I believe that at my core, because I have such an incredible connection with my husband and love him and always want to hang around him. But there are certain experiences that he will not experience because he's my husband. So like he will experience them differently. So like dads are gonna have a different experience than mothers. So like for example, and not to say this is a great thing by any means, but like in the society we live in, there's so much pressure put on women. And like even when we were on this trip, no one even was like pressuring me to like do stuff like, you know, make the kids lunch or anything. But I felt that pressure. I literally was like reading my book, and I felt like I needed to like get up and like do stuff. And again, it wasn't anything that anyone said or did. It's just like I felt that pressure, like I needed to do that. But then I looked over at Brady's dad, and he's just like taking a nap. He's like just looking at birds. Like he's not, you know, and he would obviously play with the kids, but like at his own leisure. And I was like, I'm their aunt. I'm not even like their grandparent or anything. And like I'm feeling this pressure to like watch them and to like almost mother them. And I feel like that a lot of that comes from the like pressure society puts on women and mothers, and like making us be the only nurturers, which there are so many different ways to nurture kids. And I think that with the added pressure, it can just be overwhelming in a sense. So those are things that like maybe my partner wouldn't experience in the same way, but other women around me who have had kids of all different levels, they will maybe have experienced. So it's a long roundabout way of me saying that like there's always things that I can learn as I get older, and there's also always things that like my brain can like change my mind on and shift and want different things that I used to want. But with that change also comes fear. Like I think about when I started wearing dresses, which was only like, I think 2 years ago. Before that, I would only wear neutrals. I didn't want to wear dresses at all. And when I shifted to wearing dresses, I was like, ooh, I feel different. And it's not different like bad. Like I wanted to wear these outfits, obviously. like that's why I bought them, but I almost felt like I was shedding a portion of my identity by changing what I wore. And I almost feel like that way with like any big change or any big like way of thought that I am like thinking differently about. So anyway, I'm gonna read a little bit more of this. I made some chili tonight, which it'll be really nice to just cozy up, read my book, and finish out the night. I am probably gonna read more of Atmosphere just because I am getting into the mood of like something that's a little bit deeper than like a rom-com, and I think it's just because I just finished like a rom-com. So I'll probably read a little bit more of this and then get more into this maybe tomorrow. Fiction section is already making me excited, which just goes to show that I am ready to start picking up like contemporary fiction pretty soon. Not just yet. I feel like August is when I'm really gonna start diving into those books because that feels more like fall to me. I will say there are some books that are on my radar that are coming out soon, or like relatively soon. Sadiqa Johnson has a new book coming out, and I think it's supposed to be on like World War II, and it comes out in February. I cannot wait to read that. There are some romance books that are on my radar though, like Shanora Williams. She has another book coming out. It's in the series with Beautiful Broken Love. I forget what the title is. Let me see if I can find it. It comes out, I think, in December, but you guys know I rated Beautiful Broken Love 5 stars. Yeah, it comes out December 30th, and it's called Sweet Little Hearts, and it looks really good. But getting into this section is making me excited, so maybe I'll pick up a couple of contemporary fiction as well. I really want to start picking up like random books, just books I've never heard of before, and start reading them, but I always think like, am I not gonna like it? Is it going to be a waste of my money? But I need to start doing that more at the library first. I feel like that's the best place to just like look for random books. I haven't been in a few weeks, so maybe I'll go soon after all my vacation. The covers of the books on the Reese's Book Club book picks are always so pretty. I really love how this one looks. I almost thought about this being like the random book that I bring home because it like looked good, and it has like a little blurb from Tayari Jones on the front, which I read like one of their books and enjoyed. But this book is thick, so I'm gonna leave this bad boy here because y'all know I'm afraid of reading thick books by new authors to me. Speaking of Tayari Jones, this is a book that I've never heard anyone really talk about, and this one does look really good. This is the book that I read, which I feel like most people have read if they've read this author's writing. This is what I'm thinking about bringing home. I always want to read more like contemporary fiction, but can we talk about how the writing is so different between contemporary fiction and romance? I feel like romance books are like very easy to read, like, and even if there's like depth within the stories, the writing itself is not as like wordy or lyrical. Like, I feel like sometimes authors, and I can't generalize obviously for everyone, but I feel like some authors, they try to like sound smart. And I went to a liberal arts college, and I swear the books that the like professors would pick would always be the books that are like so wordy and so drawn out. And I don't know, I need more books in the contemporary fiction genre that like aren't like that they're like faster paced. They can have depth obviously, but like I do not want them to be like in 1976, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I can't be the only one who thinks like that. I just feel like the writing style is so different, and I wish that there were more books in the contemporary fiction section that I like enjoyed the writing style as much as romance. Guys, I cannot wait for this author to come out with more books. Her writing is just like, I don't know, it's so cozy. I feel like this would be the perfect book for fall. And I know that probably sounds weird because it kind of looks summery on the front, but it's a friends to lovers story. It's by a Black author. Like, this is her debut novel, and I don't even understand how it was her debut because it was so good, and I need more books like that. I feel like those are the perfect fall romances, and people always think you can only read romances in the summer. That is not true. There are so many great fall romances. I'm gonna do like a video probably like sometime next month, and just like obviously fall bookshop, but I will give you guys some good book recs for fall too. I did not realize that the Dirty Air series has like a new cover. Like, the books are like a different size. They look like super similar. Like the cover is like the exact same, but like the book itself, I can't even explain it. They're like a little bit thicker. I love how they look together on a shelf. You guys know I'm always looking for books by small authors, and this I'm pretty sure is like a somewhat close by author. There's no reviews literally on Goodreads at all. It is a spicy romance, and it says it's set in Dalton City, Illinois, which I think is like kind of near Chicago, but it's very spicy. Like literally you can see the beginning of the story is like already giving spice. But if you're wanting to read a book by a new author and be like the first person to give a review on Goodreads, you should pick this one up. I know I say this all the time, like whenever I come into my bookstore, I feel like the books in here, they don't really usually have the best like books available. I feel like I have to find a lot of them online and stuff, and I'm finding every single one of them that I'm looking for. I've already found 3 so far, which is so rare, but maybe my bookstore is stepping up because I'm not having any trouble at all. And it's not even that the books are new, it's just that the books are like books that have been on shelves at other bookstores for a while, and they're like finally bringing them here. I don't know what they did, but they're stepping their game up and I'm loving it. I want to finish this series so bad. I have the next book on my TBR for this month, so hopefully I'll get into it. But Releasing 10 has literally been out of stock in my bookstore for so long. I'm surprised I even have 1 copy. It came out a while ago and I had to buy it online, and I'm so glad that it's like finally here, so if someone wants to pick it up they can. Guys, The Best Man came out with like a book 2. Remember The Best Man movie? I feel like it's just a classic. They came out with a book 2. That's so cool. These are 3 romance books I'm thinking about getting because I have not read them, and I feel like it's so rare to find a book in Barnes by a Black author that I have not read yet. The Romantic Agenda is a summary book, and I feel like every time I think about reading it, summer's over, and like we're pretty close to the summer being over, so I'm like not sure if I will actually get into this. And then Thank You for Sharing, I feel like reading something by Rachel Ruina Katz would be nice because I don't think I've read any of her books, and they look like they're just cutesy and fun. And then actually one of you guys recommended this book to me. You said that you saw it and you were like, it made me think of you, and it looked like something that I would enjoy. So these are 3 books I'm thinking of getting. Don't know if I will because I do have some stuff already in my basket, but these are on my radar. This is a book I do already have at home by Rachel Ruina Katz, so I could read this one instead of like reading the other newish one. And this cover is so pretty too, but I already have it at home, so I wouldn't need to obviously buy this one. Guys, I did not realize that the author of like Twilight was still coming out with new books. I don't remember this one being out whenever like the series was initially out. This says it came out in well, it was first published in hardcover in 2015 and then revised for paperback in 2022. I do not remember this one literally at all. Speaking of books that came out, this is a fantasy romance, and it's a sapphic fantasy romance by a Black author. I don't hear a ton of people talk about this, and maybe because I'm not like in the fantasy space, but I do love this cover, and the author of this is a booktuber too. It's time for a wrap up, and it's also time for a haul. I have a package that I haven't opened, so I'm gonna open this package and then I'm gonna give my update, and then I'm going to give you guys the other Barnes & Noble haul. This package, if I show it to you, you guys will literally know exactly what's inside of it. So I'm trying to like open it not on the camera, but it's like kind of hard to do that. I literally can't even speak right now. I am very excited to give you guys my update on these books because I feel like new releases have not been hitting lately, and all of these new releases definitely hit. So I'm excited to share. But the box that I have is this book right here, Blood in the Water. This came as PR. It actually came before it was released, but I was out of town. And it's from Tiffany D. Jackson. This is actually a book I've been so excited about. I realize that all of her books are young adult books, but if you've never read anything by her and you're not a big fan of young adult books, please pick up one of her books. Her books are just so good, and they usually have like hard-hitting topics in them. Came with this little beach ball. It also came with this little keychain that says Blood in the Water. And it was very sweet of them to send this over. I think I got this. This is from her PR team, I think. It says my newest book Baby, Blood in the Water, my first middle grade novel with Scholastic. I know some of you are scratching your heads at the idea of me writing for this younger audience, especially if you've read any of my other stories that tend to be intense. Ha. Thrillers for the middle grade crowd are tricky. Can't be too scary, too corny, or too adult. So I really had an awesome time writing this one, and I love an opportunity to bring I love any opportunity to bring readers to my happy place, Martha's Vineyard. This book got thrills, suspense, and characters you want to root for. Trust me, have I steered you wrong yet? Fun fact, the bridge in this book and on the island is called the Jaws Bridge, as the movie was shot on Martha's Vineyard. This June is the 50th anniversary of the movie. Serendipitous timing. I would love if you would share this summer read on your socials with your fellow book lovers. If you do, please tag me and then my publisher, Scholastic, so we can share the love. See you at the beach, Tiffany. And I didn't even realize that this was middle grade, but I immediately knew I was gonna pick up this book because I've read so many of her other young adult books, and I don't really read like young adult, or I think what I feel like most young adult books give me like the vibe of. These have usually hard-hitting topics, or her books do. It says, be aware of sharks and secrets. Brooklyn girl Kalani McKinnon feels like a fish out of water. She's spending the summer with family friends in their huge house on Martha's Vineyard, and the vibe is definitely snooty. Still, there are beautiful beaches, lots of ice cream, and a town full of fascinating Black history, plus a few kids her age who seem friendly. Until the shocking death of a teenage boy. Was it a drowning, a shark attack, or the unthinkable murder? Kalani is determined to solve the mystery, but her investigation uncovers shattering secrets that could change her own life as she knows it if she survives. This thrilling middle grade debut from New York Times bestselling author Tiffany D. Jackson is packed with heart-pounding twists, turns, and will keep readers guessing until the end. I've read Monday's Not Coming, and I've also read Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. Loved both of them. I also love that this book is like, I don't know, the cover does not give middle grade. I feel like most middle grade books, like as you're reading them, you feel like you're reading like a kid's book, and it kind of just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like young. This does not feel like that at all. I will say the words are very big, and they're definitely giving middle grade like size, but I feel like I'll finish this book super fast, so I'm excited to read that one. Now let's get into my review. Like I said, I was very excited to give this review because a lot of the books that I've been reading have not really hit with like new releases, and all three of these books definitely did. Let's start with the one that I was like most like on the fence about when I first started reading this. This one is a book that I have highly anticipated. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. This is, I think, my 6th book by her that I've read. And initially I was like, I don't know how I feel about this book. I am just on the fence. It's talking a lot about NASA. And then you get into the story, and the thing about Taylor Jenkins Reid's books is that she makes the characters truly feel like real people. The main character, Joan, her sister in this, was absolutely vile. The like love interest in this, you could really feel all the emotions surrounding that. I ate this book up. I will say it took me a bit to get into because there was a lot of like NASA like talk before, and I was like, I feel like I don't even know the characters before we're like talking about the career. So I almost wish that we had talked a little bit more about the characters first so I could kind of fall in love with them. But if you read this book, like, please stick it out. It's one of those that I do think has a bit of a slower start, but there were times in this where I was reading it, I was like, oh, I'm legit gonna cry right now. Like, I'm actually going to shed real tears. And I feel like that's very rare for me whenever I read a book. I didn't end up crying, but like I was very, very close. There was a point in this book where I was just like, woo, this is getting tough. So a banger as always. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. If I were to put this in the level of like her like favorite books to least favorite, it definitely is probably somewhere in the middle, because I still feel like Carrie Soto's Back is her best book that I've read. I also really loved Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved Evelyn Hugo, The Seven Husbands, but Malibu Rising wasn't my favorite. One True Loves, I don't know. I just feel like she does a better job of doing books that feel like true romance, and One True Loves was like a little too on the nose with romance. I feel like she does a better job of like giving you a full breadth of someone's life and not just like the romance aspect. which I feel like I liked with this one because the romance was like heavy in the story, but also so many like deeper things about like family and stuff. So really enjoyed this. I am not really sure what I'm gonna rate it, just because I feel like if I were to pick a rating, I don't know, it's hard to decide. I need to sit on it a little bit more, but by the time this video goes up, I will have my rating on Goodreads so you guys can go look. I also read The Love Syllabus, and this book is a little like worse for wear. It's kind of worn because I was reading it on the beach, and while it was sitting on my lap, it was like kind of getting wet because my legs were like damp from sweat. So it is a little, you know, loved, but I actually love my books when they're like very well loved. This was a very cutesy read. I will say that this was probably another like in the middle of like the books that I've read by this author. I've read 3 books by this author, and I think the top book, I don't know, the top, like the Love You Always and The World Around Us are kind of like same playing field, like 4.5 out of 5 stars, so good. And I think that this book would be after that. And then the second book in the Beverly Mills series, I read that one, and that will probably be at the bottom of the list. I didn't really care for that one as much. This one I really loved. I will say it was one of those books that felt a little cheesy. So when you go into this book, you have to know that it's gonna be like a very cutesy read. And I feel like most of Lauren Lacey's books have like really hard-hitting topics. So I kind of expected like the drama, which this did have drama, but it felt very like soap opera. Which again, her books usually do feel like that, but like, I don't know, this book felt a little bit different, and maybe it's because it's shorter. Her other books are like 500 pages, like you really get into the meat of the story, and this one was like less than 300. So really did enjoy it. I feel like if you're gonna go into this book, just know it's like very cutesy, very soap opera vibes, and very angsty. And then, again, I will leave my rating on Goodreads. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna rate that one. And then Plus Size Player, I really love this one. Daniel Allen can really do no wrong for me. I definitely am gonna rate this one 4 stars. It was so good, and I feel like I was like actually laughing out loud many times throughout this book. There were parts of this, especially in the beginning, that I was like, we're diving in. Like, I don't feel like I really got a ton of like Russ's backstory, and I wish it wasn't like it wasn't insta-love because they'd been dating for a while, but like for me reading the story and seeing like them together for the first time, it felt insta-love because like I didn't even get to see them meet. Like they had already, like the book starts out where she's like going on all these dates, and he's someone she's been dating and like going on dates with for a minute. So I do wish that I'd gotten a little bit more time, like to maybe see them start dating, like how they like met, like that kind of thing initially, like right off the bat. But again, love this book. If you're looking for like a funny rom-com, please read this one. It is spicy, and I feel like this one was a little bit spicier than Curvy Girl Summer, but the steam did not bother me at all because that was just like what I was expecting, because Daniel Allen's books are pretty spicy. So those are the 3 books that I read this week. Also picked up some books at Barnes & Noble, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick haul. I have another haul coming soon because I want to do a haul with some books that I want to put on my new bookshelf. Hopefully they'll finish that really soon. But the first book that I picked up is Swift and Saddled. I read Done and Dusted. I didn't really care for it. Really didn't care for it, but I know people who have similar book taste to me. One specifically is Natalie Lawyer, and our book taste is very similar, and she loved it. So now I want to go into the second book, but I want to go into it when I want something that's like a super easy read, spicy, just like no brain cells type of book. And I think having the like knowing what kind of mood I'm in and then going and getting a book that specifically fits that mood, I think will help me like the book a lot better. Sometimes I feel like I go into books with the wrong like idea of what the book is, and that just like throws me. I knew this book was gonna be spicy, but I think or not this book, Done and Dusted, I knew it was gonna be spicy, but I think I expected a little bit more in the writing. And it's just like easy. It's just like, it is like, he went there, she did this, we did that. Like it isn't anything that's like groundbreaking. And there are times that I want books like that. I just genuinely want books where my brain's gonna be off when I'm on the beach, when I'm just like maybe having a stressful week. So I think I'm gonna go into this book with that perspective in mind. I also picked up The Wife Before by Shanora Williams. I have never read any of her thrillers, and I've read 2 of her romances, which I feel like is usually flip-flop because a lot of people read her thrillers first. This says, she weaves an insidiously sexy, twist-filled novel in which a new bride's fairy tale marriage fast becomes a nightmare of secrets. And this is one of the books that she's most known for, so I actually wanted to read this thriller first. I also own, I think the book's called The Bitter Truth by her, and I have not read that one yet, but I really want to read it soon. But I want to read this one first because, again, this is the book that like everyone knows her for. And they had it at my Barnes & Noble, which was really exciting. And I love reading thrillers by Black authors because I feel like, again, they're not like hyped up nearly enough. And then I also picked up You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. I owned this book, I want to say in like 2021 maybe. Like after it first came out, I bought it. Let's see, when did this come out? Yeah, 2020. So I bought it, I'm pretty sure, like 2020, late 2020 or 2021, and never ended up reading it. And now it's gonna be turned into a movie, so I have to read it. It says, when your nemesis also happens to be your fiance, happily ever after becomes a lot more complicated in this wickedly funny lovers to enemies to lovers romantic comedy debut. And like I said, I am really just going into it wanting to read it because it's gonna be a movie. There's so many books that are being turned into movies. It's actually wild. But I feel like I can read them faster than they come out, hopefully. Like I know the We Were Liars show is already out. I read that book in like 2020. This Summer I Turned Pretty, I've read the whole series. I do need to catch up on season 2 before the new season comes out next week. And I haven't read Forever by Judy Blume, but I have started this series already. But now it's like, because I've started the series, I don't want to read the book. So that's why I have to read the book first. So that is on my list to read before the series or movie or whatever for this comes out. And I also know some Emily Henry like movies are gonna come out too, and I've read all of her like older books for the most part, at least the like popular ones. So yeah, those are all the books that I picked up, and I have obviously 4 new books from this video, and then I finished 3 books. So I have 1 more book added to my shelf because I'm like taking 3 away. So I don't know if that makes any math sense to you guys, but it does to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. More videos to come as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.